And Yahusha says to John, whoever causes one of the innocent children to stumble, it would be better if a millstone was tied around his neck and he be cast, thrown into the sea. And this is after John asks Yahusha, Son of the Most High, he who redeems, he who saves, he who delivers. John asks him, hey, we saw someone who was casting out an evil spirit in your name. And we told him to stop it because he doesn't follow us. And Yahusha said to him, and I talked about this yesterday, and this is maybe a little addendum to that, but we're going someplace else. But in an addendum to yesterday, what we discussed was how Yahusha is owned by no one. Yahusha is Yahuwah, the Most High. And his ideas are for everyone. He's open source. There is no license that you need to follow Yahusha or to spread the good news. There is no trademark that has to be filed. There is no patent that you're breaking. You don't have to go through some initiation rite. You don't have to join a guild. You don't have to pass a test. You don't have to be an ordained minister, a rabbi, a priest. You don't have to be a magi, a yogi, a mentor, a self-help guru. None of that. You feel it in your heart. You're filled. The temple is filled with the ruach, the breath of Yahuwah. And you're compelled to spread the good news. And so Yahusha says to John, no, don't tell him to stop. Don't tell him to stop. For whoever is casting out evil in my name, whoever is doing good in the name of Yahusha, cannot speak evil of him. He says, Yahusha says, for whoever is with us is not against us. So he's telling John, you don't have to be one of the 12 disciples. You're spreading the good news. You're spreading the Beshorah. Whoever's putting out good into the world in the name of the Most High, who delivers, is doing a righteous thing. And what he's saying there, he's telling you that you don't have to be like these Pharisees who hold themselves up high on a pedestal and who have all these rules, regulations, traditions, such that if you wear the right dress, if you're in the right building, the right church, the right temple, if you're walking the right way, if you're saying the right words, if you're reading from the right books, if you're doing the right ceremonies and the right rituals, then only then can you spread the good news. No, whoever is compelled because they're filled with the breath of Yahuwah to spread good in his name, to do good in his name, to cast out evil in his name, is with Yahuwah Yahusha. That's a good thing. If you feel that your cup runneth over, you should be spreading the good news. And he says, so whoever is for us does not work against us. And then he says, by the same token, anyone who would, and here's where I'm paraphrasing, right? Because what he's saying is, if you're doing good in his name, what a beautiful thing. But for those who would cause the innocent to stumble, right? So you got those who are casting out evil in the name of Yahuwah, Yahusha, and then there are those that are causing the innocent to stumble. He says, for those who would cause the innocent to stumble it would be better that they have a millstone tied around their neck and they should be thrown into the sea than to cause one of the innocent, one of the little children to stumble. And by that same token, and here we're getting to the heart of today's message, not only should we not be leading others astray, but now a powerful metaphor, as he says, and if your hand leads you astray, if your hand destroys your innocence, cut it off. For it's better to go into the life crippled than to enter Gehenna, where the worm never dies. To go into Gehenna, the valley of Hinnom, where they used to, in ancient Israel, outside of ancient Israel, where they used to burn the bodies night and day, where it was full with pagan rituals, where they used to sacrifice children to the evil demonic deities like Baal. Sacrificing children, the innocent ones. Better that you should have a millstone. Can you imagine leading the innocent astray, let alone what they used to do, where they would sacrifice the innocent, the children, to these ugly, demonic, evil, serpent-like, dragon-like, horrible deities. The Canaanites, if I recall correctly, used to do this. They had this massive bronze statue of Baal, their deity, and they would set it up. There was a furnace within it, and they would set it ablaze. And then after that statue was boiling hot, burning hot, they would then sacrifice. They would put a child in the hands of Baal, the bronze statue, and it would burn alive. The sick, evil, demonic ones of this world, they're still around. Make no mistake about it, they're still around. They should have it would be better for them to have a millstone tied around their neck and thrown into the sea than to destroy the innocent ones, to destroy the children. And so if your hand causes you to lose your innocence, if your hand corrupts you, if your hand misleads you, if your hand deceives you, right? So again, the metaphor, what are you handling? What is it that you're handling that is deceiving you, misleading you, corrupting you, causing you to be defiled and debased? The drink that you consume, the drugs that you take, the dirty, evil money that you handle, the corruption that you guide, the violence that you do, whatever, right? If your hand causes you to stumble, cut it off. That's the metaphor for whatever is misleading you and deceiving you and corrupting you, causing you to lose your innocence, or defiling your innocence, defiling your good heart. Cast it out. Give it up. He says, if your foot causes you to stumble, cut it off. It's better to go through life lame than to be cast into Gehenna where the worm never dies. And the fire is never quenched. Again, the Valley of Hinnom, the garbage dump that it was, where the refuse constantly burned, and where they dumped the bodies, and the bodies constantly burned day and night, and where they held the pagan ceremonies and sacrificed children to Baal. And this, of course, eternal damnation, the metaphor for eternal damnation, Gehenna, hell. What a hellish scene that must have been. The sky constantly blackened, darkened with the soot and the black smoke of the refuse burning, of the bodies burning, of the sacrifices and the pagan rituals and the evil in the Valley of Hinnom, in Gehenna. If your eye, so your foot, right? If your foot causes you to stumble, where's your feet taking you? Where are you going? Where are you traveling? Where are you headed? Are you headed to corruption? Are you headed to evil? Are you speeding to defilement, depravity, and debasement? Cut it off! For it's better. It's better to go through life lame. Again, and when Yahusha talks about going through life lame, when he talks about life, whether he's talking about it's better to go through life crippled, better go through life lame, when he says life, understand what he's saying. It's better to go through this world, without that evil, without that sin, without that hedonism, without that gluttony, without that pleasure seeking, without that defilement, debasement, depravity, and decadence, without that evil and sin. It's better to go through life without that, which causes you to destroy your innocence, to decay your heart. Should your eye cause you to stumble, pluck it out! It's better to go through life with one eye. It's better to go through life blind than to enter. It's better to go through life. It's better to go into the kingdom of Elohim. It's better to enter the kingdom of Elohim with one eye than it is to enter the fires of Gehenna, where the worm never dies. And this is where we talk about whatever causes you to decay, because that is decay. That's the symbol for decay, where the bodies in Gehenna, in the Valley of Hinnom, rotted. The worms, which represent decay, eating and feeding on the dead. The worm, the symbol of decay, where the worm never dies. In the Valley of Hinnom, in the Valley of in Gehenna, in hell, where the word and decay are constant, where the rotting is constant, the rotting of the soul, the corruption of the soul, the destruction of the soul is constant. When you allow yourself to be defiled and debased, decadent and depraved, by allowing the evil whisperers, the Baals of this world and his minions, the psychic vampires and negative influences of this world to lead you astray. Cut them off! It's better if what is your eye tempting you with? What indulgence is it viewing? Where is your eye leading you? Is your eye leading you astray? What are you watching? What are you looking at? What is your eye longing for? Is it longing for depravity and debasement and decadence? Cheap highs, cheap highs. Are your hands guiding you to cheap thrills? Are your feet taking you to cheap highs? Is your eye searching out cheap titillation? These are all metaphors for what lures you, what tempts you, what indulges you. Cut them off, for it's better. It's better to be without these things. It's better to be without the hedonism. It's better to be without the pleasure seeking. It's better to be without the gluttony. Although, as you're doing it, as you're drowning in cheap highs, cheap thrills, cheap titillation, pornography, orgiastic, ritualistic, hedonistic sex, defilement and debasement of drugs, the defilement and debasement and decadence and depravity of alcohol, all the things of the flesh that corrupt you, that weaken you, that make you vulnerable, that rot you from the inside out, that leave you after it's all over in despair, in depression, anxious and frustrated, addicted, constantly seeking more because it's never enough, because it never fulfills, it never gratifies, it never satisfies. That's why it's called cheap thrills. That's why it's called cheap highs. That's why it's cheap titillation. It evaporates the moment you're done. And it leaves you feeling sick. It leaves you feeling ill. It leaves you with the hangover where you feel like you're dying. And then as soon as you come to your senses, you're chasing your tail again. You're chasing the dragon again. Why do you think they call heroin chasing the dragon? Think about chasing the serpent, chasing the dragon, chasing evil, chasing sin, chasing your addictions, chasing your prison, chasing what chains you, chasing what binds you, chasing what yokes you. The millstone that yokes you and that weighs you down as you drown in a sea of depravity, such that you can't break free and get to the surface for fresh air. Because you're drowning in the muck, in the mire, in the sludge of your decadence and depravity. Cut it off! Cast it out! Better to go through life crippled. Better to go through life lame. Better to go through life blind. Better to enter the kingdom of God with one eye than to be cast into Gehenna, the valley of Hinnom. Its wretchedness, its darkness, its depravity, where the worm of decay gnaws at you constantly, decays at you, rots you from the inside out in never-ending fashion. And the fires are never quenched. It's better. It's better to not have those things that look like in the moment all sparkly, filled with bedazzlement, all the baubles, all the diversions and distractions, all the colors, the beautiful colors and the fascinating ideas and the fantasies of this world, all the yarns that are spun, all the stories that are told, all the exciting thrills that are extolled to you as some form of escapism, as some form of joy, as some form of celebration, as some form of revelry. All of it is Gehenna. All of it destroys you, decays you, rots you, but it doesn't look that way at first. That's not how it's sold to you. It's not how it's promoted to you. It's not how it's marketed to you. The Baals of this world, the Baphomets of this world, the Lord of the Flies, the Lord of Filth, Hashatan, Satan, Lucifer, the evil whisperers, the corrupters, the evildoers, the misleaders, deceivers. They don't come to you as monsters. They don't come to you as serpents. They don't come to you as dragons. They don't come to you in a way that they don't come to you as ghouls. They don't come to you in a savage fashion. They come with seduction. They come to lure you. They come to tempt you with luxury, and comfort and indulgence and pleasure seeking and hedonism and gluttony. And you consume a little bit, and then you need more, and you consume more, and before you know it, you're glomming, you're gallivanting, you're gobbling, you're drowning in all of this. All of the drugs, all the alcohol, all of the junk food, all of the pornography, all of the cheap sex, all of the cheap thrills, all of the cheap titillation, all of the cheap highs, all of it. You become lost in it. You become lost in Gehenna. Cast it out. Cast it out. Because that's the trick that's played on us. That's the trick. That's the mirage. That's the illusion. That's the hallucination. It all looks like an oasis in the desert filled with beautiful, blue, sparkling, clean water to a man who is dying of thirst, who is longing for fresh, beautiful, clean drink. Your mouth parched, your lips cracked, your tongue like sandpaper, your throat scratching. You'd give anything for a cold, crisp, clean drink of beautiful, blue, clear, fresh water. And then as you drink from this mirage, as you drink from this hallucination, as you drink from this absolute fantasy that they've sold you, you realize that you're drowning, your throat is clogging and drowning and bleeding from all the sand and glass that you're actually drinking. That's the metaphor. And what is sold to you is boring. What is sold to you is staid. What is sold to you as by the by, as what's sold to you is not real. How's this? What they sell you as life, what they sell you as reality, what they sell you as live your truth, live today as if it's your last, the new age gurus, the self-help magi, the mentors of this world with their programs and their blueprints and their instructions, telling you in all the to self-seek, to self-help, to find yourself, to find your truth, to find who you truly are, to live today as if it's your last because there is no tomorrow, to enjoy yourself, to enjoy it today because you deserve it. And what is this? What are we celebrating? What are we reveling in? We're reveling in the things of the flesh. We're reveling in the sin of this world. We're drowning in that oasis, which is really muck and mire and sludge. And what's sold to you is as not real. What's sold to you as a myth, what's sold to you as boring is Yahuwah Yahusha. That's sold to you as a story, as a myth. All the atheists of this world that would have you reject Yahuwah, that would have you deny Yahuwah, that would have you turn your back on Yahuwah Yahusha. Well, the atheists, the evil whisperers, the seducers, they beckon you to follow them in their ways of the world, in the wise ways of the world. The wise of this world are foolish, and the foolish for Yahuwah Yahusha are wise. That's how we enter. That's how we want to enter the kingdom, with His discernment, with His wisdom, not the ways of this world, not the manner of this world, not the fashion of this world. The wise ones laugh at us, but they are the fools, because they live in this illusion. They live a life of the flesh, which only perishes, which dissipates, which decays, which they can't take with them. Their philosophy, their riches, their accomplishments, their titles, their championships, their baubles, their bedazzlement, their cars, their houses, their logic, all of it, it perishes, it bleeds, it wastes away, it decays. But Yahuwah Yahusha is forever. Yahuwah Yahusha is the way, the truth, and the life. Yahuwah Yahusha is the everlasting life. Yahuwah Yahusha is the beautiful, glorious, real, the beginning and the end. Yahuwah Yahusha is the Alpha and the Omega. And in asking him to wipe away all the decay, to wipe away all the rot, to wipe away the worm that never dies, he instantly revises you, refreshes you, renews you, reconstructs you, rebuilds you, and recreates you. You are reborn once again in his image, pure and innocent. Your heart righteous and true, justified and sanctified. And you can begin once again, because the moment you ask, you are saved. His salvation floods you and you're filled with the Ruach, the breath of Yahuwah, which animates you, which encourages you, which inspires you. And now, all the things that seemed boring, that seemed staid, that seemed without adventure or even keel, which just seemed like a humdrum way of living, actually, now you see as nourishment. Now you see as nutrition. Now you see as energy. Now you see as encouragement. Now you see as inspiration. Now you see as motivation. Now you see as healthy. Now you see as it building something that lasts forever because it's strong and robust and dynamic. You know, it's like people see eating pizza, eating ice cream, eating junk food, drinking alcohol, doing drugs is exciting. They see that as exciting. They see living a productive, wholesome, clean, straight edge, good life. They see that as boring. They see the other thing as adventure. This is the adventure. This is the adventure of an everlasting lifetime. Imagine being filled with this kind of love, this kind of joy, this kind of peace, this kind of solace. This is what Yahuwah Yahusha fills you with. And he dissolves and obliterates the darkness that you stumbled in. Should your hand cause you to stumble, cut it off. Should your feet cause you to stumble, cut it off. Should your eye cause you to stumble, cut it off. Pluck it out. Again, metaphors. For anyone who's thinking of cutting those things off, right? Metaphors, right? What your hand handles that is evil, cut it out of your life. Where your feet take you, if your feet take you behind the darkest of doors to cavort with the evilest of whisperers and demons and persuaders and influencers, with the haters and detractors and psychic vampires, with the demons and the Baals and the Hashatans of this world. Cut it off. Cut it out. Ask Yahusha to save you from it. Should your eye tempt you to look at the most ghastly of things, the most violent of things, the most perverted of things, pluck it out, cast it out. Not the eye, but that which titillates you, that which your eye is compelled to look at through indulgence, through temptation, through seduction, through being lured by nothing more than demons and evil ones and corrupters and misleaders and deceivers. For they seek to blind you to Yahuwah Yahusha. Better to blind yourself to that evil by looking at it no longer. Not actually plucking out your eye, right? By looking at it no longer and looking to the light, looking to Yahuwah Yahusha, looking at the real, the most beautiful, the most lovely, the most wonderful, the most wholesome things that fill you with the breath of life, the breath of Yahuwah Yahusha. His warmth, his salvation, his security, his armor which protects you, keeps you impregnable, impervious, impenetrable to the daggers and the slings and the spears and the arrows of all of these evil ones. Now, in all faith in Yahuwah Yahusha, you wear his armor. They can no longer touch you. He fills you. You wear the helmet of salvation such that you can charge through all of this stuff, absolutely obliterating them. You're filled with the Ruach, the breath of Yahuwah, such that his light, which bursts forth from you like a force field, absolutely dissolves the darkness. The darkness that you used to stumble in 24/7 no longer exists. Now you're in the light. Only in the darkness, only evil is done, and only evil can be done in the darkness because it cannot stand the light. It is done in secret. It is done in the dark corners of the world. It is done in the dark muck and mire of this world, where when the light of Yahuwah, Yahusha, for he is the light of this world, smashes into that darkness, dissolves, it's destroyed, it dissipates. It is gone forever. And now you see for the first time, you'll never unsee again. You hear for the first time, never unhear again. You'll know for the first time, you'll never unknow again. But you will see his light will bathe you. It will clean you. It will purify you. It will warm you. It will heal you. And that light from the Ruach, like an infinite number of suns shooting out an infinite number of rays. His light is brighter than all the suns in all the universe. And it bursts forth from you, healing you from the inside, but also acting as a beacon as you live as an example for your people. And it bursts forth from you, destroying all the darkness in your path. And you wield the Ruach, the breath of Yahuwah, like a sword, such that no evil whisperer, no psychic vampire, no hater, no detractor, none of the demons of this world can get near you, because they see that Yahuwah, Yahusha, lives within you, because here is where he lives. And he writes his living law on your heart. You no longer decay like the old law, like the old rules, like the old regulations, like the old traditions, like the life of this world, like the life of the flesh. That life perishes, that life dies, that life fades away, along with the rules, regulations, traditions of man. That decays. And you follow that. You follow those rules, regulations, traditions. You follow those laws. The old laws of man, the old laws that are written on stone, which crumble away. You follow that out of fear, out of punishment, because those laws, they reveal nothing but evil and sin. They dole out nothing but punishment. They do not reveal salvation, and you follow it begrudgingly. And your heart is hard. Your heart is hard. Your soul is concrete, calloused over, like the stone, which perishes, just as your heart perishes, because you die, because you walk around this earth of the flesh, and you perish, and you decay. The worm that never dies, and you decay, just like that stone, following it begrudgingly, not following it lovingly, not revealing salvation but punishment. But then in Yahuwah, Yahusha, who fills you with the breath of Yahuwah, the Ruach, the set-apart spirit, fills you with that light. Now you're alive for the first time. You have everlasting life, and his new law is the living law. It's written on your heart, and you follow that word. You follow the word. He is the word. In the beginning there was the word was with Yahuwah. The word was Yahuwah, and the word manifested in the flesh. Yahuwah manifested in the flesh, and Yahuwah, the word, became Yahusha, the Most High, who creates, the Most High who brings into existence, the Most High who breathes life. Manifested in the flesh. The word manifested in the flesh as Yahusha, the Most High who saves, the Most High who redeems, the Most High who delivers. And in coming to him for his salvation, washing over you, filling you with the Ruach, writing the living law now on your heart. No longer on stone, now the law lives, and it's written on your heart such that and what does that living law say? The living law, he broke it down into the most simple, beautiful commandment, the commandment from which all good things spring, the commandment from which all the good, productive, wholesome things spring from. All will be revealed. All epiphanies, all revelations come from understanding this single commandment. It is like it interprets everything for you. You don't need the Pharisees, the lying, hypocritical scribes. You don't need them, those who worship with their lips and not with their hearts. Those who would get the false prophets, the magi, the mentors, the rabbis, the priests, the holy ones, the wise ones, all these so-called teachers that would have you bind yourself and yoke yourself. You don't need them. He gives you the key. He gives you, through the one commandment, all understanding. As you live the word, the way, the truth, and the life, in this single commandment, all is revealed. You receive it all such that your cup runneth over. And what is it? What is that word? What is that commandment from which all good things spring, from which all other commandments are made manifest and made real in your life? It is to love Yahuwah with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your fellow man as you love yourself. And in contemplating that daily, in going deep into that and understanding it, all good things will come from that. And so now you follow the living law that's written on your heart. You follow it because you want to. You follow it because it brings you joy. You follow it because it brings you peace. You follow it because you've been saved, you've redeemed, delivered, and you feel like it's your honor, it's your privilege to be able to do so. That living law, you now have everlasting life, and that law lives forever. And it's written on your heart, which is alive for the first time and will continue to be alive as you now, this same light that's shining down on you, that's obliterated the darkness so you can finally see, and the light of the Ruach that bursts forth from you like a force field that you wield and obliterates all demons and darkness and psychic vampires and negative influencers and haters and detractors that are in your path, such that you can also, because this light now beams down and illuminates and emblazons and lights up that narrow path that you can finally now see that leads to the narrow gates that lead to the kingdom to come. You can now walk the straight and narrow path because you can finally see it, that same light. And there it is on the horizon, the beautiful light, the brightest light shining through from those narrow gates. You can see it. You can see it. That's where you're headed, on this narrow path that the Ruach, the set-apart spirit, the breath of Yahuwah guides you to stay on. And it's, again, it all comes back to that simple commandment: love Yahuwah with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your fellow man as you love yourself. I've talked many times about how this leads to so many productive things, how it leads to all the good things, all the wholesome things. But the breath and the commandment, it leads you, it compels you. And you see it, it's clear as day, that path that leads you to where Yahusha will reign. He will live amongst us once again. That is where we're headed. You walk in this narrow path now, you're saved. Your heart righteous and true, your heart at peace and full of solace, your heart healed and full of joy. As you walk, you feel the privilege, the honor, the love, the encouragement, the inspiration, the motivation as you're living for your people, and they see this light bursting forth from you. They see you on this path, and they know as you live for an example for them now, not like these preachers who admonish them, not like these preachers who come at them with fire and brimstone, not like these preachers who put themselves on pedestals and talk down to people. And act as if they know it all, such that you need them for interpretation, you need them for absolution, you need them for guidance. They're not the gateway to the Father. The only gateway to the Father is the Son, is Yahusha. And He left us the simple commandment. He left us the word. We have His life, we have His parables, we have His phrases. You can nourish yourself daily with that. You can nourish your spirit and your heart daily with that. You can go right to the source. Go right to Him. And as you walk on His path, you're heading straight for the brightest and most beautiful and loving and healing and joyous light of all, that which sits beyond the narrow gates of the kingdom to come, where all evil is obliterated, all sin is obliterated, all of the war and misery and murder and death and illness and disease and evil and sin and sadness and hatred and all of the evil whisperers, corrupters, misleaders, deceivers, all the decadence, depravity, defilement, debasement, Hashatan, Lucifer, the demons of this world crushed beneath His feet, and where Yahusha lives amongst us once again, and where we can feel and love and see the everlasting life. There's nothing but everlasting peace, everlasting joy, everlasting healing, everlasting love, everlasting peace, and where He lives amongst us once again, and where we can love Him, honor Him, worship Him, glorify Him, praise Him in a manner that pleases Him most, because we're perfect once again, like we were in Eden before we were misled by the serpent, by the dragon, and cast out and forced to wander the land. And then after Cain crushed Abel's skull, further cast out from the fruits that the land used to yield, and now we chased only the fruits of the flesh. But we've been given a way back to Eden, a way back to paradise, a way back to the kingdom to come. Simply by the most simplest of ways, the most simplest of things, that He makes it easy for all of us to come to Him. All you have to do is knock on that door. Instantly, it's answered. Seek and you find. Ask, and all is received, such that your cup runneth over, and you're here in a gym, in a park, on the beach, on the streets, shouting from the rooftops about the good news. You can't help yourself because your cup runneth over and you want to share the good news. You want to live as an example for your people because now they know as that light bursts forth from you. They see you who were once like they were, hopeless, frustrated, anxious, in pain, suffering, depressed, in fear, at the end of their rope, longing, hungering, thirsting. Now they see you drinking the water of life, such that you never thirst. They see you eating of the bread of life, such that you're never hungry. They see you encouraged and inspired and motivated and full of His healing love and His healing energy. And they know that you were once like them. And they know that if you and I, if we can be saved, then they can be saved. And such as we simply live with that encouragement, live with that joy, live as an example for our people in this light. They know as that light bursts. We don't, again, not like the lying and hypocritical Pharisees and scribes of this world that want to yoke you and bind you to them. No. We simply live in Yahuwah, Yahusha. We live as an example. We walk in the light. We revere Him. We love Him. We honor Him. We fear Him. We praise Him. And we live with this healing energy as we are on this path, speeding along with grace and strength and truth. And they see it like a lighthouse, shining that beacon for all the lost ships at sea. They simply by living in Yahuwah, Yahusha, and following that simple commandment to love Him with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your fellow man as you love yourself. And that Ruach, the breath of Yahuwah, bursting forth from you, all those who are lost can see it as you live as that example. And you march steadfast and true. Steadfast and true, ceaseless and relentless, unstoppable, unconquerable, undeniable, unassailable, undefeatable, as we speed like a freight train, like a locomotive, like a juggernaut to kingdom come.